Hey everyone, welcome back. Today I'm going to be doing a discussion with a few of my friends on the first book of the Wheel of Time, Eye of the World by Robert Jordan. We're going to go into a lot of general thoughts on the books for each individual person with hopefully to get you guys a little bit of different perspectives other than just mine. And I've also got a few of my friends are also at different parts of the series so far. One's just finished. A few of them have gotten a little bit further. I'm on my third read through. So it should be interesting to see kind of where people's thoughts are as we're at different points of reading through. So join us now as we drink and discuss. So we're here to discuss The Eye of the World, Book 1 in the Wheel of Time. I've got Riker here joining me, Marcus, and Logan, you're back again.
Idiot.
So, before we get into this, I want to know where everyone is actually at in the series because I know everyone's at a little bit of a different point. So, Riker, where are you at?
I am chapter 3 of book 4.
Okay, Marcus, you just finished book 1, right?
Yep, I haven't started book 2 since finishing book 1 a week ago.
Okay. Logan, where are you at?
Sucks.
I am in chapter 13 of book 3.
Okay. So I'm
the new boy.
on my third read through of the series. So this should be interesting to see what different perspectives we're gonna have on this. Let's go ahead and start off with how I start off a lot of my reviews. Let's talk about the things that you liked about the book, or like one thing specifically that you really liked. We'll start with Riker.
The one specific thing I really like about this book, honestly, and we're going to get into it a little bit later, but the world building in general.
Okay.
In general, the detail is absolutely amazing. And combat, which we will get into also later.
Marcus?
We're gonna disagree.
Marcus, your like biggest thing in this book that you liked.
I mean, world building a little bit at the moment. It's still very small, I feel like, in book 1, but you can definitely tell in every single scene with a character that there is something else beyond it that you just don't know about yet. Like, you can just tell that there's drops that, like, references to words or to names to other ages that you just don't know about yet. So I'm excited to get into it more.
And Logan?
Not to copy somebody else's work here, but I think I agree with Riker
That's fine.
in the world building. Just like I just remember them going into the ways, and that was really interesting. I was like, man, I want to know more about this place. Or like when they go into Shadar Logoth, and I'm like, oh, this place is awesome. Like, what? I want some more lore on this. Like there's just like there's a lot of stuff that Robert Jordan just drops that you're like, oh, this sounds pretty cool. Like just enough to get you interested, and then he just doesn't give you more detail, and you're like, wait, I want to know more.
That's what I'm talking about. Like, he gives you the little nugget, and then he's like, all right, we're going on somewhere else.
All right, and next scene. I can agree with the world building. I think that the world building is extremely well done, and having read through the series multiple times, like there is so many little hints of and like setups for the rest of the series, which I think is absolutely nuts as a writer because that takes a lot of planning to like set those up, or it takes a lot of work to go back and know exactly what you said in your books
and make it work later.
Yeah. Okay, let's start with Marcus. I feel like this is one you're going to want to talk about. What's your biggest critique of this book? What do you not like?
The 3 main characters.
Okay, so Matt, Perrin, and Rand.
Oh, shit.
in general, I feel like characters were so weak in this.
I can agree with that a little bit.
But
Country
I absolutely
bumpkins.
agree. Country bumpkins is the best description of those 3.
Yeah.
But I also came from just reading the Stormlight Archive.
Yeah, that's a.
So that's why a lot of this book was way more enjoyable for me because it didn't focus on characters as like much. It wasn't as like heavily into mental depression and terrible stuff.
Yeah.
This was just like, let's go on the adventure.
Well,
But-
it's very much like the way I always describe it if I'm explaining it to people in like a couple sentences is like it's like a D&D party adventure getting together. It's like very much like the party gathers and they go on an adventure together, which is very much traditional fantasy, very much like after the Lord of the Rings and stuff like that. Logan, you wanna talk about something else?
Oh no, I didn't have anything to add to that
Okay.
at the moment.
Riker,
don't like-
any critiques?
Oh, any critiques? I would be with Marcus on that one. Just Marcus and I were talking about it when I was back in Iowa, and he put it best when he said they get into these positions to ask the right questions and can ask the perfect questions, but they don't, and it's so frustrating.
Yeah. I mean,
But here's what was sorry. Here's
Go
a
ahead.
one note. I started to take notes on characters or in the entire book, so I could actually keep track of shit because I know how confusing this is going to get. And my my notes on Perrin in a specific chapter where he's found wolves was where is it? Perrin struggles with being interesting or cool and decides not to be. That is my notes from that chapter.
I mean, he's right.
I mean,
I was just so disappointed.
it's really interesting to say that now because like I cannot wait till you guys get later into the series and what your thoughts are as these characters
Everybody
develop
drink.
and grow.
By book 4, I like him. Like chapter 3 of book 4, I like Perrin. I'm not gonna give anything else to that.
So I have because I don't want to talk about the other books, so we're just gonna
Yeah,
talk
no,
about
no.
Eye of the World. We'll get into those later. Like not in this video. I think that the pacing is not very good. I think that this book is way too long for a first book focused on this. I think there's too many Jordan does a great job with scene and details in the scene and like giving all these hints, but we get so many of them that I'm just like, can we get to the point, please? So, technical difficulties. Back to pacing. Did anyone want to add anything to my pacing comment?
Yes. Because
Yeah,
I'm
I
with
can
you.
at least agree with it.
I'm definitely with you on this. Like, his writing style is really strange, and I want to talk about that at some point.
Okay.
where
We can
he
talk about it
does-
right. We can talk about it right
Yeah,
now.
He does describe every scene very specifically to almost a fault, but I actually like a lot of it because it
Mhm.
really paints a picture on some stuff. Until we get to combat. Once we get to combat, shit hits the fan and stuff just happens, and those are the chapters I have to reread because I'm like, wait, what? I can't. Like, he's very not descriptive in combat, but out of combat, he describes every blade of grass
So,
under the sun.
talking from someone who's read an absurd amount of fantasy, that's because this book came out, I believe, in the late 80s, early 90s, The Eye of the World. This is very much a Tolkien style of writing.
Right, and he definitely gets everything from.
it-
No one say everything. That's. not
But
fair.
it's
He
very
gets a lot
much
of stuff from
it's
Tolkien.
very much inspired by Tolkien, and you can tell just with the style. I'm not saying that's good. I actually think his detail and scenes are better than the Lord of the Rings. He's also had 60 years of other writing to work from, so it's a little bit different. Because sometimes with Lord of the Rings it really drags, whereas with this the scenes are the pacing of the story itself is kind of slow, but the scenes themselves are very interesting.
Yeah, he'll describe just someone's facial movements
Yeah.
and the way they say something, and you get so much information from that.
Yeah.
You're like, oh, you can now tell that person doesn't like that person, or you can just tell a little bit extra from the scene because of it. I just wish he would do that in combat as well.
Yeah, he does a very much like show don't tell type approach, where
Which
it's very
is also funny because they'll get into characters. He does a tell not show.
Yeah.
And I'll get into it after a little bit.
Yeah.
Anyone else have anything to add to that?
I'll have to think more about or pay more attention to the combat sequences just because I feel like I didn't notice that as much myself.
Yeah.
I will say I 100% agree on at least the descriptions of everything, you're able to visualize it. Like that's what I like probably the most about his writing is I'm not wanting for like what does that specific building look like that's
Mhm.
prominent in town. He'll
But
tell me exactly what it looks like.
You know how
And
many windows there are.
yeah, he tells me how many windows there are, tells me like what the brickwork looks like. Maybe not that much detail, but a lot of it.
Yep.
What year it was built.
The combat though, I actually enjoy the combat a lot, only because I've read further on, and I'm not going to get into it, but I like the combat in this book.
I think that since I know you guys, and Marcus, I know you just got off Stormlight Archives, and like the combat in Stormlight is so good
True.
that like I could see why this would be like would pale in comparison, because the combat scenes, and again, this is very much like an older fantasy style like type of writing thing. It's very much like let's just breeze through this combat real quick, whereas
Right.
writers like Sanderson are much more descriptive in those, and I feel like that's evolved since then.
That's true.
Does anyone else have any critiques for this book?
Other than the specific character stuff we're going to talk about, no.
Okay.
So yeah, the character stuff is kind of
I'm so excited for that one.
All right, let's just jump to characters then. Well, let's talk about the main character, the main of the main characters. Let's talk about Rand.
The maniest.
With this
maniest.
book, I feel like there's not really a main character. There's like a party. The party is the main character, but Rand is kind of like the central focus out of all of the main characters. So let's talk about him a little bit.
Absolutely.
Good things, bad things.
His dad is so much cooler.
Tamalthor.
Like, oh god, I gotta think of a good thing.
Yeah, I mean,
Tamalthor
there
did.
definitely is like we were gonna critique with the characters. It's at least in book one, between Matt, Perrin, and Rand, they kind of feel a little samey,
Yeah.
at least at the beginning, which in all fairness makes sense. They all grow up in this like middle of nowhere, like country bumpkin town, like everybody has the same opinions, like everybody does the same stuff, like so they're kind of carbon copies of each other to some degree. Matt's kind of a little more like out there and goofy and kind of the prankster type of a personality, like I feel like. But for the most part, I do feel like it, at least in the first maybe, I don't know, half to 3/4 of the book, it can be kind of hard to differentiate Rand from the other three, or the other two.
I agree. I think that, so the biggest thing that I'm thinking about like the concept of the characters, because Jordan's concept was, what if there was a chosen one who didn't want to be the chosen one? That's like the base concept of working, and I like that as a concept, and I think he does it well in this book and throughout the rest of the series. But the characters themselves at this point in the story are very boring. They don't have like depth to them yet, and they're also like 16, so it makes a little bit of sense.
Which I think now at this point too, that's been, I wouldn't say done to death, but it's definitely like back then that was a new concept. The chosen one not wanting to be the chosen one.
It's more of a trope since this series. Yes.
For the time frame, pretty revolutionary.
Yeah, that's time. Like holy shit, what? He doesn't want to do it.
It's like, why wouldn't he want this? And so, yeah, that's actually a good point. Reading it and expecting it to actually, like, he wants to embrace that because the time frame that it comes out in, that's pretty new. So I'm reading it with nowadays. It's just,
yeah. I mean, that's just my perspective on, again, I have a little bit more experience to pull from in this area specifically. Are there any characters that stood out to you guys as like characters besides Tamalthor, who's definitely interesting, Marcus? Which actually, you know what? Let's talk about him. I think he's super awesome. I agree with you. I think he's one of the coolest characters in this book.
That's when I started taking notes on the book. Was immediately when they went back to town or to their house, and he checked the well to see if it was poisoned. And I said, that is not something a farmer would do. So I started taking notes and like something's going on with this guy. Obviously, it paid off immediately where he's like, I have a sword.
I have a Heron Mark blade,
Yeah,
and we
it's
have
like-
no idea what that means at that point.
No idea what that means.
Right. And I wrote that, and I'm like, what's this mean? And I'm like, oh, 2 chapters later, like, oh, it's a sword master sword. I'm like, okay, this is the coolest character. Oh, and we leave him behind. Damn it.
Yeah.
Well, you're not gonna find out what that means. Or like
Yeah.
anything about Tam.
Yeah, I think I think Tam and Lan are both very interesting for the
I
same
love
reasons.
Lan.
Lands.
Yeah, like they're very similar in that regard. Like they're clearly 2 very skilled men. You don't really know what their past entails, and clearly it's some big stuff. So I'm definitely excited to find out more about both of them.
Death
It's
is
like
light as a
Lan's
feather.
attitude.
Duty is heavy as a mountain.
I was about to say, you find out Lan's backstory at near the end of this book, right?
I think you
I'm
get
I'm trying to
like
remember if you did or not.
I think you get like a little bit. You get little hints throughout this series. I don't think you don't have you don't have the
Context
information
behind everything, but
to
you
make
do
the
find
context
out.
make sense. Yeah.
Yeah, you do find out like where he comes from and like what he is, I believe, if I'm remembering right. And so yeah, so Lan's it absolutely pays off.
Yeah, but I
Which is
mean,
good.
I got
Yes,
Lan down
that's
as my
awesome.
best character in the book.
So far, I just liked his attitude. Like, he just stood out so much more. He was like, screw these farm boys. I know he does all
Knows
of
his
them.
duty,
I loved
executes
it.
on it.
I was like, yes, he is my spirit animal.
yeah, he's definitely a cool character for sure. For sure. I think that's probably what a lot of people take away. Any of the girls stand out to you guys, or stand out negatively? I guess.
Nynaeve or Nynaeve?
Nynaeve.
Nynaeve?
Yeah, she's really
I
annoying.
don't like her.
I think that's fair.
I think
But-
I mean,
I'll start
Having-
off there. Just leave it at that.
yeah, having read a couple more books in, I like her a little more now. However, yeah, that first book I was just like very annoyed by her a lot of the time.
I think
Like
that
it just felt like she was like unnecessarily antagonistic to everybody.
Yes.
yeah,
Absolutely
mean
mean for
to-
no real reason.
To Moraine, specifically.
yeah, to Moraine specifically.
But even everybody else though, like she's just like
Yeah,
it's like she has
I mean,
like
it's
an
true.
extreme temper, like a temper that can just be set off by like the tiniest little thing.
Lan can
Yeah.
breathe weird, and she's got to yell at him for it.
Yeah.
It almost seems like that. It almost seems
It
like that.
pretty much, yeah. I mean, it was.
I-
It's upsetting.
I think that. I mean, I think Moraine's the most interesting female character in this book. I mean,
Absolutely
it's probably because like we get a lot of information about the main 5 characters, and then like the more mysterious characters are the ones who are like, wow, okay, I want to know more about you, but we don't get as much from them. What about Tom? What do people think about Tom?
I like Tom a lot.
Yeah, Tom's a very fun character.
He's dead. Obviously, he's not dead. He got an off-screen death. He's not dead.
Well, I mean, even Moraine says it in the book.
Yeah,
It's
she
like
I know, she does.
he's not dead. The pattern, like the pattern's not done with him yet, and it's just like
the wheel
weaves as the wheel wills.
I'm definitely excited to see more of him as the series progresses and whatever hopefully he entails in the future, because like especially I don't you get that little sequence where they run into the Murdraw at whatever city that was when they get split up,
White Bridge.
where Tom dies, and he like it talks about him like pulling out these knives and like all this stuff, and you're like, oh, okay, this isn't just some simple like Gleeman guy.
Well, there's also been like tons of hints before that too of like him like fighting and stuff like that, even like
Right.
fighting the Trollocs and stuff. And it's like, wait, isn't he just supposed to be like some kind of entertainer? Like, what's
Again, it's
what's
like one of
going
those-
on?
I'm sure they'd be way more enjoyable on that second reread.
Yeah. Oh
To
yeah.
pick it up. Like I said,
Oh
it's
yeah.
like,
There is a lot of like. I mean, I personally kind of like that about books is when you can go back and you read through it a second time, and it's just like everything is so much clearer and sharper.
it
And like
is.
there's so many things that you're like, wow, I can't believe I missed this.
Right, but then I'm already like reading this knowing all that. I mean, like, well, now I have to read the whole series, not just once. I gotta go back and read it the second time
I don't.
to really enjoy it.
I don't know. I don't know if that's necessary. I don't recommend that for many
Just
people.
Google it afterwards. Once you get done with book 14.
I think that you'll be able to enjoy it with the TV show, as your second through. Okay, let's talk about when the group splits up. Whose story did you guys like the most out of those three stories?
I
Or
personally
none of them.
enjoyed Rand and Matt's
Okay.
little adventure the most.
Did anyone have anything different other than that one?
See, I'm kind of torn between Rand and Matt and Perrin and Egwene.
Those
because
are really
I
the
think-
only two you get.
Yeah,
We get
I mean,
a little bit of Nynaeve and Moraine and Land.
But
They
that's,
just don't do.
it's
They don't.
just
They don't do a
complaining
whole
and
lot.
arguing.
They don't do
Pitching.
much.
Yeah.
But I thought the other two groups, like, both were very interesting in their own ways. Because I mean, like, Perrin and Egwene, obviously all the wolf stuff with Perrin, you're like, whoa, this is interesting. This is kind of crazy. Like, what's gonna happen with this?
It could be.
Obviously in the first book, Perrin, is a little lackluster in that area for the time being, but
A little?
Yeah, quite a bit.
but you also see like the what are the traveling people called? I can't remember. the name.
Tuathalan.
yeah.
Yeah, that's their real name.
Yeah.
I did enjoy that part of Parents.
Oh,
and
I can't
Egwene.
wait till you guys find out some other stuff
That was
about.
cool. I liked. God, it might be a tie between them for me, to be honest with you. Not the three, but between Matt, Rand, Perrin, Egwene, because I think Egwene and Perrin had like a better story, and it was paced better.
Mm-hmm.
Matt and Rand were just homeless
Yeah.
for like half the book. And
I mean, you're
it,
right.
like, it was like, I trust you, I don't trust you, I trust you, I don't trust you, you betrayed me, you helped me. It was just constant that for a long time, which I liked in
That's-
some cases, but
That was the one instance that I really thought the pacing was terrible on.
yeah.
Like, we
pacing
did
in
not
this-
need as much of that as we got. Like, we could have gotten through that with, like, I
It's
think,
very
like, a couple. Yeah, like a couple,
couple of chapters. worth.
couple chapters on those two, and I think we could have gotten everything we needed to go.
I learned that any man who owns a cart is trustworthy. Anyone who doesn't is not.
And
That's
don't hit
about
on the
it.
farmer's daughter,
And
no
don't
matter
do
how much
that.
you want to.
But I think Rand and Matt's chapters had better moments.
I can
Way better,
agree with that.
intense moments
Yeah.
than what Perrin and Egwene had. So
Particularly the mysterious stuff that happens around them in particularly stressful situations.
Yeah.
It makes it super interesting. And I liked seeing, or more like reading, Matt's descent into.
Madness.
Yes, I actually liked that a lot.
which
Because it
why-
did progressively get worse as the chapters went on.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is why for me Matt actually stood out the most out of the first three main characters. And it's like a different voice. Like I could tell which one he was usually, but like because his character changed than what he really
Yeah,
was.
it changes the most from the.
Yeah. I mean, the development that he gets is definitely pretty, I think, one of the most intensive over the course of the entire series. I actually don't like Matt in this book, to be honest. I really,
No, he's
that annoys me the
annoying.
most when he starts going crazy, and I'm just like, can we just stop, dude? You guys are literally being hunted by
Yeah.
like minions of the Dark Lord. Can we just chill for a second?
Also, you were a beacon to them.
Yeah.
Now, cool. Thanks.
You're a beacon. Oh, also, you're gonna die, basically, if you keep holding on to this knife. Cool.
But we still can't trust Moraine, even though she cured him.
Yep.
Hating on
Yeah.
Moraine.
Damn, Aes Sedai.
She's just helping you, man. She just wants to help.
She has
From
done
our
nothing
fairy
but help me, and I hate it.
And I hate her.
But she's from our fairy tales. They're scary.
It's like, of course she has her own plan or whatever, but
I
she's
mean,
still helping you.
Yeah,
I
in
mean-
all fairness,
okay.
In all fairness, Moraine, there is tons and tons of times where they're like, "Yo, can you tell us what's going on?" And she's like, "The wheel weaves as the wheel wills," and
Which
like
is
all
why
this
I
crap.
didn't like Moraine at all in this first book.
um,
I felt like he was trying to make her so smart, but she was just like, well, I can't tell you that because
So
the wheel
mysterious.
and the
Yeah.
eye of the world and this and that. It's like, okay.
Very aloof
There we go.
to a fault.
All right. Does Rand see Logain on the wall, or does Logain see Rand on the wall? Other way around. Thank you. Or not?
Absolutely not.
Not? Is that a
He
no?
does not see
No.
Rand.
Absolutely
Uh,
not.
I disagree with that.
Do you
I
want me to
also
read
disagree
this
with-
fucking chapter?
Just read
No,
the just
no.
read the excerpt.
We literally talked about this the other night. It
That
literally
doesn't-
says that they held eyes.
No,
Yes.
it does not.
Does
You
it?
know-
We
it
literally
says-
read the sentence.
No, Rand. Fuck, where is it? Give me a second.
I'll let Marcus look for that for a second. I need to go back and re-listen to that because I kind of glanced over that when I was listening to it. I wasn't paying super close attention, but knowing the context of the rest of the story, I'm pretty sure it's supposed to be an ambiguous hint that Logain notices him.
Yeah, it's like it's very. I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that like he sees him in any like necessarily like important context, but it does. I interpreted it as like it says they held eyes, and so I kind of interpreted it as even though like Logain was like the false dragon, like this is like him recognizing Rand for like as something special.
Spoiler. It was also so predictable that he was the true dragon. So.
I mean, that's kind of
Oh.
the
Which I know.
that's kind of the point the whole time, the whole book.
Yeah. The mysterious. I have it written down in my notes about Rand. Mysterious things happen to him in stressful situations. And an example, the lightning strike on the boat. It's like it
Yeah.
it hits you over the head with it.
Yep.
Oh, here we go. Okay.
Yeah. Well, I
Get
mean,
that
it's supposed to be very like, here is what's happening.
And then there was the thing on the windowsill too when they were escaping from the Dark Friends.
Yeah. Yeah. When he like didn't he like blow up the room or something like
yeah,
that?
he like blew up the room as they were escaping. And it's
Yeah, it
what
was like
the
when you
fuck
first see
just
him like
happened?
actually channel.
Yep.
Fuck, I'm not gonna be able to find it now. I don't have my Kindle on me instead.
It's
I've
okay.
got it. If
Oh,
you would
yeah.
like it.
Yeah. Oh well.
All right, Riker, you look for that quick.
Oh, no, I've got the section already.
Oh, okay.
Oh, perfect.
Read
Read
the
it.
sentence.
I had
then.
it
Prepared.
So the sentence is, with all of that, it was the man in the cage who caught and held Rand's eyes, and that was it.
Rand's eyes.
Okay.
They didn't hold each other's eyes. They held
Yeah, no,
Rand.
Rand's
looked
centered
at him.
right on him. Yeah.
And then it goes on to say that Logain was looking at the crowd, and wherever Logain looked, the crowd went silent. And then he would turn, and that part of the crowd would regain their efforts of yelling at him.
Yeah.
So
And then the
Logain
second
is
he-
looking at the crowd. Rand is staring at Logain.
So, one, I don't think that really matters that much anyway.
It
But-
does,
It's
But-
better than nothing.
I heard it from
covered, but-
so many
The-
people on YouTube, and I was like, "What are you talking about?"
But I think the point of that part is anyway is not on Logain, it's on Rand. It's Rand kind of realizing, like foreshadowing, that could be you in just a little bit.
Right.
Yeah.
And there's also Rand having a connection with him.
Yeah,
Mhm.
which is important for the future.
I'm sure.
Logain's
That chapter and the next chapter were the two that really locked me into this book. I
What
think
was-
those two chapters were the best.
Oh, the next chapter was when he falls off the wall and he meets Elaine and Morghese and stuff like that, right?
Yeah.
The where he meets
Yeah,
the queen. Yeah.
Yeah.
That one, I just actually finished that not long before we started this. I do like that chapter a lot. I like how they there's a lot of like information dropped at that point, and it's really interesting to also like. I think my favorite part of that was when they like realize that he has a Heronmark sword, and they're all like, "What?"
Yeah, like what the hell? Which I do appreciate. That's like some of Robert Jordan's writing. I enjoy that so much. Where it's like you know that this is a big deal throughout the whole book. He keeps bringing it up and up
Mhm.
and up. It's not just that one time. So yeah, when they realized that, I was just like, oh shit. He's either in trouble or he's free to go. Nope, he's free to go.
It's like they recognize the game, the secret
Yeah.
badass.
He's too young.
And I think we're in agreement that the ways are kind of cool.
Yes.
They're pretty sweet.
Very interesting.
So,
I want to learn more about them.
yeah, I would too. I would too.
Are we moving on from characters? Because I do have a game to play with you guys.
Sure,
Which of the 3 country bumpkins said it? Or thought it?
Okay.
You have to guess who character 1 is. Character 1's thoughts. Character 2 would know how to handle this. Character 1 thought. He'd make some offhand comment, and pretty soon she'd be laughing at his jokes instead of mooning around where her father can see. Who is
Rand.
thinking this?
It's Rand.
It's Rand thinking it about Perrin.
No, it's Rand thinking about Matt.
Logan?
Yeah, that's what I was thinking too. But it could
It's-
also be Perrin thinking that about Rand.
I'm pretty sure it's in the section when he's in they're in the farmhouse, and
I knew you'd be better at this because you just recently listened to it, but
I've
it's
also
Rand
done it
thinking
more.
about Perrin.
Oh, it is about Perrin.
Yes.
When in actuality, neither of those two can talk to girls. Matt's probably the most statistically
Uh,
likely to be
actually-
able to talk to girls.
Actually, I want to talk about that for a second because that is a big thing throughout the series where each of them thinks that the other two are better at talking to girls than they are. And I think that's really funny because they always bring up the same thing about each other that each other brings up about like them. And I think that's like, you guys are all a bunch of idiots.
So here's the next character's thoughts.
Oh shit. there's-
Character 2 would know what to do, he thought. Character 2 had an easy way with girls, not like him, who never knew what to say or do.
Is it Matt thinking it about Rand?
I think that one's Perrin.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that one's Perrin.
Yeah, they just flipped exactly what the other one thought of the other one. That's the point where I'm like, show me, don't tell me. Unless it's a joke, like you said.
What he likes telling you.
It is a thing throughout the whole series that they often think that the other two are better at stuff than they are. Like they think, oh, if this person was here, they would know how to handle the situation more than I would know how to handle the situation.
Yeah. So I couldn't tell those 3 apart
They,
at all.
I definitely can agree with you though on that first book that they are pretty similar. They do get significantly more distinct as the series progresses.
There is a lot less of that even by where I'm at.
Oh, then on page 600. I need to talk to Perrin. He knows how to deal with women. Rand's
Does he?
thoughts.
Does he really?
Just like, oh my god.
Okay. Ending of the book. What do you guys think?
Oh boy, what a trip.
What?
It was definitely like confusing.
We're
Yep.
at a 0 to
It felt
100
like
fast.
all this stuff just started happening, and I was like, who are these people? Like, what is going on? Like, I don't even know what this is.
Let me
I don't
read
even
this
know
5 times.
the like implications of this.
Yeah. It was. So, like, the whole book of the lore is the eye of the world. The eye sees everything. Then the wheel weaves what the wheel wills. And then it's like, oh, we can go find the eye of the world and try to save it. To me, I was like, oh, that's just world lore, and it's not actually going to be a physical thing.
Yeah.
So I was even surprised on that the Moraine's like, oh, I know where it is. It took me 4 months to find you two, but I know where that is.
Oh, it
Everyone knows where that is.
took her a lot more than 4 months. Oh, you mean when they get separated or whatever?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I mean, that didn't take 4 months. That was like
No, I did.
it was like a month or something like that, a month and a
I
half
think
maybe.
so. Yeah, about a month.
Yeah, I can agree with that. I think that that's probably one of the weakest parts of this book specifically is like I feel like he just didn't know how to end it. Like there were so many good other setups, but like the eye of the world and like all the Green Man, isn't he there too?
Yeah, Jolly
Yeah.
Green Giant.
And I felt like that part wasn't well thought about, and like it's cool, but I think it needed more foreshadowing and setup for that specifically. I think it would have been
Absolutely.
way more interesting of a conclusion to probably end it in Camelin and have like them escape dark friends and stuff like that. More than
I
it,
could probably agree with that. Yeah.
like have like the guy, what's his name now? The main villain throughout this that's appearing in their dreams all the time.
Oh, Balzamon.
Balzamon, yeah. If
Balzamon.
he would have actually shown
The
up in the
dark one.
flesh there. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Well, can't wait to read the rest of this.
I like that. Even I don't know what that means. I'm excited too.
Okay.
I definitely felt like the ending of the book was just like it just felt kind of rushed. Like it felt like he was like at a good pace, and then like all of a sudden while he was writing the book, he randomly decided he's like oh we're at like 500 pages already. I better end it real quick.
It's like 800 pages at that point.
Yeah.
I'm
Whatever
wondering-
it was.
I'm wondering how much of that could have been like publishing pressure.
Yeah, I was kind of wondering
Potentially.
about that too.
Potentially, yeah. It could have been something along the lines of you need a bigger conclusion. This isn't going to grab people's attention, so you need
But, like,
something
so
bigger.
So much happened at like the last, I would say, 50 to 100 pages.
Yeah, way too
Like,
much.
I can't remember the guy's name, but the trader who would come into the Two Rivers all the time.
Pod and Faye.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like all of a sudden was revealed to be the guy who found him 3 years ago, and blah blah blah. And then he went to the Waygates too somehow, and he showed up, but he's crazy or something. The winds got him. The dark winds got him or something.
Yeah, he was in Shadar Logoth with the other people, wasn't he? Wasn't he there?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was there.
And he got taken by, or no, he's had a bad time in this book.
I think
Right,
he got
his
taken
whole
by the
backstory.
mist, I think.
Yeah,
It's like
'cause-
dark winds or some shit.
Yeah.
Never mind. I can't remember if what I was gonna say gets revealed on the next book or not.
But then it was like, oh, now we gotta go see the Green Man. And it's like, you can't see the Green Man. You've already seen the Green Man before. He only comes to people once. Oh, there he is.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it definitely was like it's like it
Like,
kind
why
of
even say that?
it felt like the room of requirement in Harry Potter. It was like okay, we really need it right now. Like everybody's just like whispering this out into the world. Oh,
Yeah.
there it is. Ah!
And then like there's a whole army there that's like, we have another fight to take, but Moraine, we will follow you because you have a greater fight apparently. And she's like, no. The wheel weaves as the wheel wills. You go fight your fight. We fight our fight.
Oh
Like,
yeah,
what?
the
It's all gonna happen at the same time.
in Shinar where they end up.
Yeah, they have to like go hold the pass.
Yeah. Shinar is super interesting, but not in this book. It gets way better in the next book.
Yeah,
Can you
super
tell me
fleshed
where
out
on the
book, too.
map that is? I could
It's
not. Find
it's
it.
super north,
Fucking
right?
microphone.
It's northeast or something like
It's where-
that.
I know it's where the blight is, but I feel
Yeah.
like the
Yeah, I
blight
think
is
it was
everywhere.
pretty like way up northeast.
Yeah, it's north.
I know it's north because there's Shinar. Why can't I think of all the kingdoms now up there? If I hear them, I'm gonna be like, oh hey, that's what it is. The map for Wheel of Time is really weird. It
It is.
it doesn't
hard to
make
look at.
geographical sense like almost at all.
Well, especially after the Waygates.
Well, yeah, with the Waygates and stuff like that, you're all over the place. So
Why isn't there a map?
You're
Yeah, because
wherever
they were
Robert
at
Jordan
what
wanted
was
you
it,
to be.
Faldara? Where they were at?
yeah, they're at Faldara, I think, before they
Yeah,
left.
that's
to the
Shinar.
way
north.
up in like the very top northeast
Yeah.
part.
Okay.
I was gonna say there's like Shinar. There's 3 other kingdoms too. That
Candor, Arafel, and that one's right on the crease, so I don't know if it's Saldia.
Saldea.
Saldea.
And
I just named them. And
Those are the 4. Those are the Shinar, Saldea, Candor, and Arafel. Yeah.
Yeah. So they were at Fel. Okay, I now see.
Yeah.
That's a long ways to fucking go in a Waygate.
Yeah, they went from Camelin to Shinar in like less than a week, like 2 days.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
That was definitely I like how he did it, but that was definitely we need to get them here now.
Yeah, immediately.
Immediately.
I will also say, when I first looked at the map and I was trying to find the two rivers just to see where their starting point is, I looked literally everywhere except for the middle of the map. It's
And
a
where is
country
it?
bumpkin place that nobody goes. It's in the literal middle of the map.
Yeah,
It's,
but
I mean, it's like a little to the left, like
Okay.
west and south
It's
slightly.
a mile to the left.
yeah, but it's like surrounded by natural defenses, so like people don't go there, which
But
makes
they just
semi
made
Say
it
one
sound
side
like-
of it's like all mountainous, right?
Yeah, it's mountains and
Yeah.
mist are on one side, and then they've got the rivers that block it out from a lot of other places. Okay, I want to get Marcus's thought on this specifically. Marcus, since the rest of us have read ahead, what do you think's going to happen in the next book?
Okay, let me go to my predictions in my fucking notes. So, where are my predictions? I don't. In general, I was just the end of the book was also strange, where it's just like Moraine. I need to protect Rand, or I need to protect these three boys. I need to find them. I need to be with them. I need to get them to this one city. They find out Rand is the Dragon Reborn, and Rand's like, "I'm gonna go off on my own," and she's like, "Yep, that's probably a good idea." Like, so I don't think he's going to be alone or by himself for that long, or I don't. Someone in the group I feel like is going to go with him.
Okay.
My other predictions were like love triangles, basically, because it was like I think Rand, Egwene, and Perrin's gonna have a love triangle. I think Rand, Egwene, and Elaine, the princess
Elaine.
of
Princess.
the queen. They're,
Yeah.
like there was supposed to be a love triangle there, but they also got predicted that Egwene can't be with Rand, so I don't think anything there can happen.
Every woman falls for Rand.
I've already noticed that. That's already been upsetting.
The romance in this series is
Okay,
Oh
can we
boy.
fucking talk about that between
Something.
Lan and
Nynaeve.
Nynaeve.
Wow, this woman was a bitch to me for months.
for a whole month. I love her.
I love her now. Oh boy.
so I
I
will
don't know what else
say
I need to predict.
I will say this. The romance in this series is some of the setup for it I feel like is not great. That one specifically, not the best. But I think the relationships themselves are interesting when they are actually in like relationships.
Oh gosh,
but-
like once it's
Listen,
set.
Rand has mommy issues. Okay, cut him a break.
He
I
never
do
met
like
her.
that Egwene and Rand are promised to each other, and they try to like at least mentally they're trying to keep that promise to
Yeah.
each other.
Right.
But I do like that tension and that conflict that pops up, particularly with like that one traveler that they run into that was I forget his name was hitting on
Egwene.
Yeah, with the traveling.
Yeah.
Yeah, the traveler. people.
Ama or Amer or something. It was started with an A.
Aemon or yeah.
I didn't write it down because like 2 chapters.
Yeah, he's not there for very long.
He's-
But it definitely I like that makes it a bit. There's some tension there.
My other prediction would be that there was one what was it? It was like a dream sequence where Matt was trying to fight the Dark One or Val Alzamon, and he got touched or something. He wasn't able to like save him off or something, and his face got moved to one of the 3 shadows or something. Like there was like shadows in his dream. Once he touched him, his face went into the shadow. So obviously all 3 of them I think are going to get some sort of crazy power. We already see Rand's as the Dragon Reborn. Perrin's going to be a wolf person. So I think Matt's going to also have something show up, or like so he's going to be chosen in a different aspect.
I can't remember. I mean, there's already hints at that in this book with the way he speaks in the Old Tongue when they go into that battle with the Trollocs.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Mm-hmm.
That was
Yeah.
a very, very short thing, but it came up. I remember it now. I was mowing when I read that. I was like,
You were like,
what?
wait,
I turned
what?
off the mower. I was like, wait, what did they say?
He has a fit and starts speaking in tongues. You know.
Yeah,
he speaks to
he's
snakes.
possessed.
I don't know when that comes up, but that'll be interesting to see when you get to that point.
Otherwise, I don't have too much other like predictions. Other than
I don't think there's a
Egwene-
lot of like stuff. Go ahead with
I was gonna
Egwene.
say, I think Egwene and Nynaeve are gonna be Aes Sedai or big powerful sorcerers, the one power users, whatever you wanna, however you're supposed to say it. In general, throughout the whole thing, I already wish that Moraine was actually gonna turn out evil at the end.
That would have been
I
a
just- I just
twist.
That would have
wanted
been
it.
really cool.
I just wanted it so bad towards the end. It was like, just, you know what? Let them be right. Let the country bumpkins be right.
And not trust this bitch.
I mean,
Hey, you never know. I mean, those dirty Aes Sedai. You know, who knows what's gonna happen.
well, I love
They're
how
always
throughout
hot.
this book, when you like listen to stuff, people are like, "Oh, you're a dark friend, and you're a follower of the dragon, and you're an Aes Sedai." They just got like all these slurs for people, but they have no context to what those mean.
Right.
And
It's been so long ago since it happened.
yeah, I think
So-
that's fun to explore when you guys get to those.
And now it's just a
Insulting to know the
derogatory
first.
insult.
Yeah,
It's also
basically.
kind of interesting to see like how, like, just you definitely get a feel for like, just with the geography, like, people not really like. Some stuff is fabled to some people, but other people are like, "Oh, this is everyday life." Like
Mhm.
Shinar obviously knows what Trollocs are, but then like other people are like, "Nah, that shit's fake, man. Fake news."
I haven't seen them for
And-
3,000 years.
They can't be real. Oh, they're here? No, that can't be true.
Like, why is that building on fire? What the fuck is that? Yeah.
Okay.
Can Trollocs talk?
Kind of. They have their own tongue, and then I think some of them can speak what would be like common.
It happens once in the
Very beginning, yeah.
book, right?
Yeah.
Right.
It
The one
speaks in
talked to
common.
Rand.
Yeah, at the very beginning of
I don't know what
the
he said. I
series.
can't remember now, but. I think the other thing
He
I
wanted
think is
the
false dragons are gonna be a play with Rand being the real dragon. Like maybe he has to gather the false dragons, and then he's the real dragon, or he's got to
Gotta
fight
make-
the false dragons.
He's
One
gonna
or
make
the
his
other.
own Aes Sedai with Blackjack and Hooker.
Maybe because
That's right.
he uses not Aes Sedai magic. He doesn't use
Sidene?
he uses Sidene versus Sidar.
Yeah, those are words.
I have yep.
Right. I mean, I don't have a lot to go off on at the end, to be honest with you.
The funny thing is that like you guys have some interesting concepts that may or may not happen. So I guess we'll have to find out. It's hard for me not to spoil anything.
Say Marcus's
There you go.
predictions are fun.
Okay,
Okay.
cool. Mine are grand.
Okay, let's talk about a little bit. I want to talk about the TV show before we end here. So what are you guys excited to see in the TV show, and what are you guys nervous about for the TV show?
Dude, if the Green Man looks like
I-
Green Lantern,
I
I'm
would-
gonna be upset.
I would actually be surprised because I know they're making cuts for sure. They've already
have to.
Sanderson has I think helped them on the script, right? Logan, I think we talked about that a while ago.
I think he was a little bit. I don't
Yeah,
remember
and
exactly.
I don't think he was like fully, but he like was helping them. Because
Sure, he made
Sanderson finishes the
suggestions.
series for Jordan after Jordan passed away.
I'm sure he made suggestions.
Yeah, I would
Is
be
it there as some kind of
surprised.
aid?
I'd be surprised if they actually bring the Green Man in because I don't think it's that important that he's there. I think you can get
Yeah.
away without that. Yeah,
Is it only supposed to be a 6-episode season?
I don't know how long it is, but I think it's supposed to cover the Eye of the World and maybe the beginning of the Great Hunt.
Oh my god. There's
Really?
no
I-
way in 6 episodes.
Well,
They got an ending.
I was just looking at IMDb and all like the people who are playing the main characters. It lists 6-episode
Maybe
credits.
maybe it's only 6 episodes. Maybe they're longer episodes too, though. You never know.
Could be.
I haven't.
But Game of Thrones was 10 episodes, an hour each.
Yeah, but they
That
were
was a lot of
I mean, they were 45 minutes technically,
That's
right?
true,
So they
but-
could be like The Witcher, because The Witcher was like an hour to an hour and a half each episode,
Yeah.
and it was only
That's
6
true.
episodes. So they
It
could
says
be
the running time on the Wikipedia article is supposed to be 60 minutes per episode.
okay. So
Okay, there's a lot
so
of
it'll
content.
you-
cover.
I think you said 16 minutes. I was like, what?
There's
yeah,
no
just
way.
some shorts. It's wheel
Hell
time
of
shorts.
any series, bro.
Really fill the gap.
I mean, I'm very nervous that I'm very excited to see what they do with it. I'm very nervous that they're gonna cut too many things that are important later. and it's going to be like them shooting themselves in the foot. Because there's so many like little things that are important to set up to make the series make sense overall.
Which is why I'm like, why is there only 6 episodes? I feel like there's so much stuff to set up.
I think that would be the most worrying thing for me.
I didn't know it was 6. I thought it was going to be 8 or 10.
They must be feeling confident with it though, since they've already renewed it for a second season without the first season even coming out yet.
I mean, you don't produce Wheel of Time and then cut it right after you start it. That'd be real dumb. I think Amazon, because Amazon's it's gonna be on Amazon, right? So
yes,
I don't think they would. They're probably dumping a lot of money into this project.
And not as much as Lord of the Rings. Yeah, Lord of the Rings, that TV show has more money than all of Game of Thrones almost combined in the first season.
I mean, Wheel of Time is gonna. I think that's gonna be very dependent on how the first couple seasons do, but they'll dump money into it if it does well, which it probably will. So
everyone's gotta get that next
Game of Thrones.
Quotation
marks.
Finish it correctly.
Yeah, and actually,
I am kind of interested to see. I was looking at the cast list, and there's a lot of these people. Like, I know Rosamund Pike as Moraine. She's been in other big things, but otherwise, all these other people I don't really recognize from like anything.
A lot of them are really new actors, which I think is that's kind of what Game of Thrones did too. So I'm interested to see if that works out for them. I can't imagine that this goes. I feel like they're dumping way too many resources into it, and I think there's just way too much of like a fan base that you would have enough writers on the team that have definitely read through the series that know how to set this up well. Yeah.
I'm nervous about early CGI in TV shows like this.
True.
Like, what are Trollocs going to look like? What's Loyal? What's he going to look like? What's the magic going to look like?
Yeah, the magic isn't that intensive in this book, so I think that won't be that big a deal.
Yeah, you really only get like that part like after Shadar Logoth when Moraine like rends the earth to like get them away from the Trollocs. Otherwise, you don't really. Oh, I guess you see it at the end too. So
a little bit. Yeah.
The ending being the most
battle.
Yeah.
Explicit.
It does seem like, based on the premise, off of just reading it off of like Wikipedia and Wheel of Time, it makes it sound like it's going to be a little more focused. At least the TV show is going to be a little more focused on Moraine's perspective, which I don't know how to take that.
I think that's
there's a woman who can hold up this show. It is absolutely Rosamund Pike.
I think it'll be fine. I mean, Moraine's perspective is you get a lot more of it later, so they're probably taking pieces from later and putting them into the beginning, and they'll cut down a lot of these side characters because there's way too many side characters in this series.
Haven't gotten there yet. That's why I started notes. I'm pretty excited though to see that scene with Rand up on the wall, to see Logain, and then like I don't know what those 2 chapters in that book, in the first book, really just sold me on that book. Meeting the Queen, I felt the intensity of it a little bit. I was a little disappointed he just got scot-off free without being questioned, but I don't know. Just the one chapter I liked to those characters a lot.
It's kind of funny that you say that, because I feel like that while I didn't dislike that section of the book, that was kind of like it didn't stand out to me as like that, like much more special than any other part of the book, I guess.
Strange. I don't know why it just did for me. It was a beacon. I don't know if it was just the way that I can't remember her name now. The Queen's daughter talked.
Elaine.
Elaine. I don't know if it was that or what, but I don't know. I just liked that whole thing. I feel like all those characters just losing personality.
It's true. Could be that Elaine just has the most personality of all the girls.
That's also very true. I was like, a girl with personality? What? That wasn't just I hate this Aes Sedai for reasons.
Yeah, Elaine and Moraine are the 2.
What did she heal my father from certain deaths? Well, I don't know if I can trust her.
All right. So I think that's going to be it for this one, unless you guys have anything else to add. Any other little things, tidbits?
I I was gonna bring up the Children of the Light as well, since we didn't really
yes.
talk
Oh, yeah,
about
we
them.
didn't talk about
Yes,
them.
we didn't
Yeah.
talk about them at all.
Because I'm really interested to see what happens with them, because they got some big cult energy going on.
Oh yeah.
Oh, instantly.
Oh yeah.
So
Instantly.
Huge.
That was a
cult
lot of
energy.
cults.
Yep.
it was definitely I thought that was when Perrin and Egwene are like in their camp, and then they're kind of like mounting this like rescue mission in like the dead of night with all the wolves all around and everything. That was really cool. I enjoyed that part a lot.
They are the catalyst for Perrin becoming one of the biggest badasses in this book. Yes.
Oh, we could just talk about more
Absolutely.
stuff that we want to like learn about, because I was just saying I want to learn about more of the Aes Sedai, and like they mentioned there was a red or a blue.
There's 7
Like
Aja.
different- Oh, so there's like more
There's a
Aes
lot.
Sedai in different
Red,
grades.
blue, green, yellow, gray, white, and brown.
So every color.
So yeah, there's a lot. You'll
I'm
get
interested to learn about that.
you get a lot of details into those later on. It's not until down the road a little bit that you actually got to start learning about the distinction. I'm happy he mentions it here, because I think it would have been weird if he didn't. But
Right.
obviously there's focal points, like you get to learn about blue and red a lot more than you get to learn about some of the other ones. But those are like the 2 that have been set up here.
Yeah. Because I think the only Aes Sedai you see at that point, one of them is red and the other one's blue.
Yep.
Yeah, that's all. That's all
That's
I've
the
seen
only
so
two.
far.
Moraine's blue, and what's her name? Elida is
Yeah.
red. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, there was a bunch of little stuff in this book that's like we could pick apart. I feel like
Oh,
the person
tons.
who looked at Rand and was like, "You're not gonna end up with Egwene. You're special."
Oh,
That was
Min?
like,
Oh, Min.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
we didn't talk about the
We didn't
prophecies at
mention
all.
Min.
Well, I thought about bringing up the prophecies to you guys that she says, because she says a bunch of stuff about each of the characters to Rand.
I barely remember any of them.
Well, one of them comes up in this book, which is about Matt with a ruby hilt, like a ruby dagger.
Mm-hmm.
So that's already came up. But I think that's the only thing that's really come up so far. But yeah, let me
Yeah.
tell you, going back, that's one of the things when you go back, that's one of the things you're
You're
like,
like, oh,
oh
shit.
my God. Like literally that scene has stuff that goes into book 13.
Damn.
Yeah.
Is she an Aes Sedai?
No.
That
No, she can't channel. She just has the ability to like see images around people, especially more about people who are of importance. So like Aes Sedai always have images. So people who can channel always have images around their head, and then things like Taviran and stuff like that.
Yeah, like we learned like what what country like Rand looks like. Targaryen.
Taviran is. We'll go into that later. Taviran's a little bit different. He looks like an Aiel, which we don't get in this book.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah.
They don't mean
We
anyone
don't,
here.
yeah, we don't really know a whole lot about them as of right now.
That's a book 4 thing, I believe.
I've heard book 4 is the big like. This becomes the Wheel of Time. or,
I
like,
think
this
book
is
3
all
is the
world
turning
building.
point. I think book 3 is the real turning point in the series, and then it starts picking.
Yeah.
I'm interested to learn about Sidar versus Sidene magic. I mean, one's male, one's female.
Mm-hmm.
type of
I want to
thing, but-
know what exactly the Dark One did to Sidene to corrupt it.
and why.
Yeah.
Because
I'm very interested.
That
to
one you
see.
find out for sure. Yeah.
it seems like Sidene's are the ones who can release him or free him from what the end of the book said, and or break it as well.
Break
The-
the seals.
Maybe that's why he did it.
The men Sidene broke
They're
the
stronger,
world.
but they're fucked when they use it.
Yeah, they take on corruption as they use the power, which drives them insane. Basically, that's the basic concept of it. Yeah, I think there's a lot of stuff that's like, I actually was gonna say this earlier, and I can't believe I forgot it, but I actually think this is probably the worst book in the series.
What?
Really?
Yeah,
Wow.
I would say either this book or book 2 are my least favorite books in the series.
I've heard about the slog.
Now my first read through, I can agree with that. I think that there's a few books in the middle. I think it's 7 to 9, 7 to 10 that people are like, this is so boring and so slow. I find it super interesting because it's basically you get a little bit of each character. Like it's more focused on like one book's focused on Rand, one book's focused on Matt, one book's focused on parents. You get little hints what the other people are doing, but they're primary. And there's definitely some drags in there, but I find it really interesting because we get a lot of depth to not just them, but a bunch of side characters around them, which I think adds into the end of the series a lot.
Probably foreshadowing stuff as well.
Yeah. So like the first time I read through, I could agree with that a little bit. The second time, it was way more interesting.
I'm sure. Again, that's like my biggest problem with this
Yeah.
book is that knowing that you need to read it a second time.
I mean, this definitely is not a series that I recommend to many people. This is one of the things where I think that like, you need to be
notes.
committed. Well, I actually don't think it depends on if you want to take notes. I've never taken notes, but I also don't ever take notes. I think that you just need to be like really, really into reading and really, really into fantasy for me to want to recommend this book to you, because it is a time commitment. Like, it took me 3 to 4 months to do the first time around and the second time around, I think. And
as long as it takes you to get to 4.
I was gonna say, well, so I started my reread through the second time when, Logan, you were on like halfway through book 1 last summer, because we talked about it in the car, and you were on like chapter 13 or 14 or something like that, and I was like, oh, that sounds like a good time. I'm gonna start the Wheel of Time, and I started it, and then I finished it, and you're on book 3 now. So
hey, Rhythm of War came out in between.
True. All right, I think that's all we got for this time. So I'm hoping, guys, we can be back to talk about book 2 and every book in the series, and kind of do a whole live reaction as you guys read through the series, because I'm excited to see what you guys think.
I'm gonna try to get to book 4-ish. Maybe not book 4 because I gotta wait for Logan. I'm gonna try to finish book 3 before the first season comes out.
Okay.
So I have enough foreshadow stuff that I can appreciate the first episode.
Okay.
That's what I did with Game of Thrones, so I'm gonna try to do with this as well. I'm gonna try to stay ahead.
All right.
So Logan, it's up to you.
I did find, quick side note, I did find this website that has like men's viewings. It looks like it covers like all of the books, like lists what chapters they're in and summarizes their viewings.
Yeah. There's a lot. There is a ton. So
she drops quite a bit.
Yep. All right, guys.
I'm looking forward to it.
We'll see you next time.
All right. Bye-bye.